Welcome back to Grand Adventure. I'm your host, Mark Guido, and it's a dreary day here in Port Aransas, Texas, as we're packing up for the long drive home. We've got 1,500 miles and 4 states to cover over 4 days to get back to our winter base in Salt Lake City, and we're bringing you along. Stay tuned. We've had an amazing 2022 RV camping and travel season, as we've covered one corner of the U.S. to the other, from Mount Rainier, Washington to Anna Maria Island, Florida. All good things must come to an end, however, and today is when we bid farewell to our friends to begin the long drive to Utah for ski season. We're not exactly off to an auspicious start to what will be the longest of our 4 travel days, with thick fog hanging over Laguna Madre on the causeway leading from the barrier islands of the coastal bend of Texas towards Corpus Christi. This late November weather along the Texas Gulf Coast has been somewhat unusual, with the normal bright sunshine replaced for days and even weeks by overcast skies. Finally, south of San Antonio, the skies are beginning to break. Downtown San Antonio is a nerve-wracking cluster to get through while towing a 33-foot fifth wheel. Lots of lane changes and bizarre highway splits, not even slightly recommended. West of San Antonio, this is the Texas Hill Country. We've enjoyed spending time here in the past, visiting places like Fredericksburg and Canyon Lake. These hills may not be large, but they lend some character to the flat Texas landscape. Finally, from Junction, Texas, we're off the interstates and onto U.S. highways. When traveling by RV, we much prefer these secondary roads. They provide a glimpse into the character of an area that you fail to see when whizzing past interstate exit ramps. I'm much more at home towing on these roads. Most towns of north central Texas have largely seen better days. However, this is the small town rural America that we love. These are places where everyone knows everyone else, so when you roll into town, you stick out like a sore thumb. Nevertheless, we've found these places to be warm and inviting, with the people gracious and generous. I think we'll always have a warm place in our hearts for this segment of Americana, which is perhaps why we love RV travel so much. We're now past the hill country and into the open farmlands of the Texas Panhandle. The terrain is flattened once again, and the short live oaks have been replaced by fertile, plowed farmland. Venturing further, we reach another transition, into the oil fields of the Texas Panhandle. Here, oil and gas wells punctuate the farming landscape. So after 9.5 hours on the road, we didn't even make it out of Texas. It's a big state. We're up in the Texas Panhandle in the oil fields in a town called Brownfield, where luckily for us, the town has created a small RV campground complete with 30 amp water and electric hookup sites for free. There's a max stay of up to 5 days. We're only here for 1 night, and it's not gonna win any charm awards. It's hardly level. It's anything but level. It's right next to a busy highway, so there's a lot of road noise, and there are trains going by. But I have an expression, a motto that I've lived my life by, and that is, if it's free, it's for me. This is also where a surge protector with EPO comes in handy, for I'm not sure that I would have trusted these electrical pedestals otherwise. Never hook up your RV without one. We'll be right back with day 2 of the long road home, right after a quick ad break to pay the bills. So after I got here last night, I spent a lot of time poring over both maps and weather forecasts and had to make a decision. See, if I really pushed it, I could make it to Farmington, New Mexico tonight, and then spend only a third day getting from Farmington all the way to Salt Lake City. However, there are some things going on with the weather that are preventing me from doing that. For one thing, there's a massive snowstorm pushing through the Rockies right now. And it's bringing with it some incredibly cold air for this time of year. It's going to get down to about 10 degrees in Farmington tonight. On top of that, it's still snowing in Farmington this morning. And I'd like to make sure that they have time to get the roads cleared and dried. So instead, I'm only going to push it to Albuquerque today. It's going to be about 6.5 hours on the road instead of over 9 hours like yesterday. However, as windy as it was yesterday, we're going to have even stronger winds today because of that storm. And it's going to be a straight-on headwind pretty much the entire way from here to Albuquerque. So I'm going to be fighting that the whole way. But in Albuquerque, it's only going to get down to about 18 degrees tonight, which is much more tolerable. Still, any plans I had for lot docking are out the window. We're going to get a hookup site at an RV park outside of Albuquerque. And then tomorrow, I will drive from there to Moab. That'll give the roads time to get cleared. Temperatures will moderate just a little bit. It'll be about 18 degrees tomorrow night in Moab, about the same as what it's going to be in Albuquerque tonight. And then on the 4th day, I can finish the drive from Moab. It'll be an easy day from Moab right into Salt Lake City. We're now westbound on US Highway 380, heading for the New Mexico border, and the westerly headwinds are steadily increasing. You can see how the wind is picking up dust from the farm fields now hanging in the air. There's nothing, and I mean nothing, out here to block that wind. Well, we just crossed into New Mexico, but this headwind is absolutely brutal, and I'm going to be with it all day. I'm having a hard time maintaining 60, 65 miles per hour, even on these pancake flat roads, and I'm getting about 4 miles per gallon, which is about half my normal fuel economy. I'm going to have to make frequent stops wherever I see a gas station out here in the middle of nowhere, just to be able to make it to Roswell without running empty. If you've never been through Roswell, the first thing you'll notice is that the folks here have truly capitalized on their UFO reputation. You'll find flying saucers and little green men everywhere. It's a bit hard for me to believe, but heading north out of Roswell, the winds are increasing even further still. Heading north, it's no longer a headwind per se, but now rather a crosswind with a slight headwind component, coming off our port bow, so to speak. Still, it's having a devastating effect on my ability to maintain speed and slow my fuel consumption. Fifth wheel trailers are far easier to tow than bumper pull travel trailers, especially in windy conditions like this. We've owned both. But even a crosswind pushes the trailer sideways, creating increased drag on the tow vehicle. If I weren't on a schedule, I probably would have been wise to have sat tight in Brownfield for a second night. Well, we made it to Vaughn, New Mexico, but this is just getting stupid. I think we may just sit here and ride this out for a little bit and then finish the trip to Albuquerque because it's gusting to 55 miles an hour now. The 90 miles from Roswell to Vaughn, I used 22.438 gallons of gas. You do the math. That's 2.5 miles per gallon, or about 1/3 the normal mileage I get out of a gallon of gas. And I had a hard time even maintaining 55 miles an hour with the truck and the trailer. So I think we may just sit here and let things calm down a little bit. I've never been known for my patience, and that patience lasted for only about 30 minutes in Vaughn. Looking at the weather models and concluding that the winds would not subside for another 3 to 4 hours, I decided to instead suck it up and soldier onward in these conditions. In the end, it turned out to be the right decision. The winds have fortunately decreased the closer we get to Albuquerque. We've made it safely to Albuquerque North Bernalillo KOA Journey. KOA campgrounds divide their properties into 3 classifications: Journey, best suited for an overnight stop; Holiday, near popular destinations; and Resort, with a full complement of amenities. While this KOA Journey is nothing special, it suits perfectly our need for a clean, comfortable stay at the conclusion of our 3rd day on the long road home. I'll even take the opportunity tonight to do a couple of weeks' worth of laundry. After such a trying travel day, I'm also going to treat myself to a fine meal. If you're ever in the Albuquerque area, you must take time to visit the Range Cafe for some delicious New Mexico-inspired cuisine. This is their combination plate, featuring a blue corn chile relleno, 2 rolled beef blue corn enchiladas, and 1 chicken taco. Make sure to save room for dessert, as the Range Cafe also features an in-house scratch bakery. I've opted for one of my favorites, a delicious creme brulee, freshly torched for that delicious sugary top crust. But I've also brought home with me this amazingly rich cream puff. This thing is nearly 6 inches across. We'll be right back after a quick ad break for day 3 of the long road home. Good morning on day 3 of the long road home. Today we're going to drive the 6 hours from Albuquerque to Moab, passing through the Four Corners area via Farmington, New Mexico and Cortez, Colorado. After several months crisscrossing the eastern U.S., it's heartwarming for us to now be traversing these western landscapes. Although we're East Coast natives, we called the West home for nearly 20 years before becoming full-time RVers, and brown has replaced green as our color of choice. These broad horizons, variously colored cliff bands, towering mountains, deep canyons, and slender buttes are now where we feel most at home. I apologize that we've been picking up more and more bugs on the windshield. I'm going to have to take care of that. At last, this is a major milestone. It feels like we're nearly home sweet home, even though we still have about 6 hours to go. In the distance, those are the La Salle Mountains that rise just east of Moab. They're sporting a beautiful bright white shroud already this late November. The landscape is familiar now. These are roads that we've driven countless times before. This familiarity is both comfortable and reassuring. One advantage of taking this southern route back to Utah at this time of year is that it avoids some of the harsher winter weather at more northerly latitudes. Another is lower elevation. Today's drive from Albuquerque to Moab ranges in elevation from 4,000 feet to just a little over 7,000 feet. By contrast, I-70 through Colorado reaches over 11,000 feet. And even most of I-80 through Wyoming stays around 7,000 to 8,000 feet and is subject to frequent winter weather closures. Out west, weather is all about elevation, and taking this more southerly track avoids most of it. We've made it to the Sun Outdoors RV Park in downtown Moab, where we'll be spending our last night on the road in 2022. Although this is one of the few Moab campgrounds open year-round, there's not a lot of competition here for space right now. We're not even going to unhook the trailer tonight for a speedy getaway to the final leg of our trip tomorrow. We'll be right back following a quick ad break with the final stage, day 4 of the long road home. Greetings from the dawn of day 4 here in sunny but cold Moab. It's about 20 degrees outside right now. It's sunny now, but there are high clouds streaming in from the north, and that's the direction into which we're heading. This is going to be our shortest drive day, about 4 hours on the road today. But there's a significant winter storm moving into Utah tonight. We're going to beat that, but ahead of the storm, they're calling for 55-mile-an-hour winds. So we're going to get an early start and try and beat as much of that wind as possible, as the winds are supposed to really start kicking up around midday. One advantage to this early start is that we get to see the red cliffs of the Moab area still bathed in warm morning sunshine. I'd hoped to clean that windshield for you this morning, but that isn't happening. These are the Book Cliffs that stretch for over 100 miles along the western and southern edges of the Tavaputs Plateau of eastern Utah. The scenery changes little for the hour's drive between the Utah towns of Green River and Price. West of Price, U.S. Route 6 climbs onto the Wasatch Plateau via the steep ascent up Price Canyon, en route to Soldier's Summit, which at nearly 7,500 feet is the highest point on our long road home.
Well, we made it down off the pass. However, now that we're on the west side of the crest, we have found the wind that they're forecasting. It's picking up quickly.
I'm finally catching my first glimpse of my beloved Wasatch Mountains. This small wind farm marks the transition from the Wasatch Mountains to Utah Valley at the mouth of Spanish Fork Canyon. We're instantly thrust into suburbia. And here we are, the Salt Lake Valley. Home, sweet home.
So that was one really long 4-day drive. However, we're now set up in Salt Lake City for the next few months to enjoy yet another wonderful Utah ski season. We're off to a terrific start to the winter season here, and as you can see through the window behind me, it is still snowing. It's been piling up. However, we are going to be relatively stationary for the next few months. One exception is coming up in late January, when we are going to be co-hosting the Q23 YouTube RV Rally in Quartzsite, Arizona, along with other YouTube channels, including Camper-Sized Living, Traveling Robert, Roaming with Rosie, Rambling Voyage, Worth Every Mile, and more. If you would like to participate with us, circle with us the wagons around the campfire in the desert of Quartzsite, Arizona, we'd be thrilled to have you along. I'll put a link right here up on the screen and down below in the video description so you can learn more about participating in our Q23 rally in Quartzsite. It'll be taking place the third week of January, which coincides with the big tent week RV show in Quartzsite. We'd love to see you there. Also, over the next few months, we're going to be working on some upgrades and some improvements to our RV while we take the opportunity of our downtime to do so. And we'll be sharing that information with you as well. So if you're not yet a Grand Adventurer, this is the perfect time for you to go smash that little red subscribe button right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a Grand Adventure, which we air every Wednesday evening. We'd be truly honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. But understand, it is extremely important to us that if you like this episode, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up, down below. And while you're down below, that's where you'll find the comment section, where we'd love to hear from you after each Grand Adventure. So until next Wednesday, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.